Bonjour! Welcome to the newcomers, and welcome back for the others. Without wait, let's begin in Chapter 4, The Lunar Reunion. Harry laid the memoirs aside and got ready for bed. Remembering Lupin's threat of being carried off, Harry was determined to get some sleep tonight. He was already feeling better knowing that the two people involved were taken care of, one dead and one in Azkaban. But something was bugging him. That Sirius, that was taking care of his abused father, did not seem to be the same Sirius out there who had murdered 15 people, including James Prong Potter. Harry stood in the windows for a while, petting Edwige, listening to the deep sonors of those sharing his dorm room. He thought back to that conversation he had overheard in Hogsmeade the other day. Madame Rosmerta had said she found it hard to believe Black had switched side. But everything else pointed to Black as doing just that. He watched a slightly diminished full moon rise. Suddenly, he laughed softly under breath. Harry was without a doubt sure that Professor Lupin was a werewolf. If so, he would be rather busy tonight, and pay for it for the next few days. He wouldn't be around to see Harry missing another night of sleep. Harry knew that Snape was going to teach the Dark Arts lesson tomorrow. Harry didn't care about Snape. He got into bed and pulled close the curtain. After resenting its silencing charm, he continued reading. I didn't go downstairs for the next few days. Sirius stuck to the "he hexed me" story and brought me healing potion every day. My parents bought me meals in bed. I feigned an extreme sore throat the first day so I wouldn't have to speak. But I could only keep that ruse up for so long, otherwise my parent will send me to St. Mungo's. And then the real story would come out. The potions helped me, though they took their time since I was so ruined. By the third day, I braved the stairs again. I had to learn stairs now since I was going back to Hogwarts the day after tomorrow. I found that so long as I stepped down slowly and took each step in turn, I could move. I set my jaw against the dull lingering ashes and strode into the living room, acting as cheery as possible. Okay, Sirius, I began. No more experiments with exploding snap. Do you have any idea how much that blast hurt me? There, I now had my excuse to limp a little. I'm really sorry, Jim. Sirius stared at my butt. I knew he was sizing me up, almost like a lover, with those piercing grey eyes of his, checking to see just how much I had healed. By the time we were to go to platform 9 and 3/4, I had perfected my skills at hiding pain. Taking cues from Remus, we found Peter and boarded the train. Remus wouldn't join us here, as he was on his way back from Canada. He got on when the train stopped at the borders between countries to check us through. Once back in motion, the four of us took one compartment. Sirius and I were on our side. I was sort of lying with my head in his lap, feigning tiredness. Remus sat across from me while Peter was across from Sirius. Why is this important? Because it isn't our usual setup. Remus and I had switched places. I hated it, but Sirius had been incredibly daft late during our whole year. He did something that nearly got Severus Snape killed. Killed by Moony. From then on, old Snivellus knew what Remus was. Dumbledore made him swear on his magic never to tell. Remus was furious as well, he should be. Sirius had yet to spend a full moon with us since that horrible prank. He went to France for the summer full moons, but had to stay awake during the nights. We had managed to trick Remus' parent into leaving for the second night so Peter and I could change. Sirius had to stay in a hotel, but came to the Lupin Manor in the morning to help clean up the mess. We really need to break that mutt out of his chewing habits. Before Moony's parent came back. We had all discussed it over the summer and had decided that Padfoot and Moony would be reintroduced during the first full moon at school. Remus and Moony had needed a very long break. Now they were civil to each other, but that was it. Sirius appeased the alpha dominance of Remus Moony as best possible by buying the best chocolates from the trolley and then passing Remus one every so often. Remus will take it, glaring, his eyes slightly yellow with a wolf within, but he will take it. I wish things would go back to normal, but I had given that up now. Nothing will ever be normal again. The reason it was taking so long to patch things up between the two literal dogs in our pack was that before that ridiculous prank, it had been obvious that the two of them were in love with each other. Harry looked up from the pages and stared at the far curtain. Great, this just gets better and better. Sirius had broken Remus' heart before ever even asking if he could have it. Now we were back to square one. -1 at that. Having never admitted it in the first place, Remus denied ever having a crush on Sirius. Wolves mate for life. Sirius didn't. Sirius had one, even two lovers at a time. Harry double-face palmed. Too much information, Dad. Every other night or so. Sirius, however, had confessed to me at the start of our whole year that he was liking Remus as more than a friend, and I had told him that I would kill him if he ever denied it. Basically, a werewolf is like an elephant, never forgets and slow to forgive. Great, so we're all caught up. We told Peter and Remus the same thing we told my parents. I had been ill the last week, and Sirius had nearly killed me with a pile of exploding snap due to some new X he had tried. You're not supposed to do magic outside of school, Remus hissed, bearing the points where his fangs were. Don't hiss, the three of us ordered. Bad werewolf manners, Peter added. Remus just hissed again. He's our alpha. He doesn't care what we say. I glared at him, wishing he'd sit with Sirius again where he belonged. Stupid wolf. Mate, both my parents are horrors. You think I care? I can get away with murder in my ass if I want to. Annoyed, Remus clicked his fangs together. Sirius tossed him a chocolate. They stared at each other, then turned away. Seriously, mate, and I get it over with. Harry rolled his eyes so hard they hurt. He had never seen a worse joke in his life. We got off the train and headed for the great opening feast. I moved as smoothly as possible, but I was already tense from the fact that I would have to face all those stairs soon. Even without shortcuts, it was still a lot of climbing. This was going to hurt. I had no idea how to do it in front of Remus and Peter without them asking questions. It was Sirius who rescued me again. We stood at the base of our main shortcut that went between walls and headed straight up to the 7th floor. "All right," Sirius began. "We have to race up there. First one to the common room gets something special I found over the summer." I raised a brow, wondering what I was doing. Sirius gave me a look before standing in front of me to block my way. "Ready? Go!" Remus and Peter shot up the stairs like jets of magic from a wand. Sirius turned to me. "You ready for this?" "No." I tackled the first stair. "What's your gift?" "No idea," Sirius said. I laughed, which threw off my concentration and therefore my balance. I would have crumpled on the stairs if Sirius didn't catch me. He held me up, and after a few moments of catching my breath, we continued upwards. Peter and Remus had been waiting for us for 15 minutes. They both said Remus had been first, and the werewolf looked pointedly at Sirius, waiting for his prize. "Oh, Sirius, didn't think this through. This would only end up hurting their frail relationship. I actually don't have anything." Sirius began without missing a beat. Remus blinked. "Look, Jim and I needed to talk about Lily, you know. Jim's still virgin, you know, I'm not, so... yeah, we needed to talk." It was my turn to blink. I had totally forgotten about Lily. How could I look at her now? I was no longer virgin. I wish that Sirius had said was true, but I couldn't deny it. "Really?" Remus said. "You could have just told us you wanted to talk." He huffed and turned away, but not before I saw him smile. "Nice save, Sirius. Nice save." As I went to sit by the fire with them, I caught sight of Lily. She used to be the love of my life since I was 11 years old. She never liked me much, but I had denied that fact for 5 years. Now I was glad she didn't like me, as I could never give her what a girlfriend will need. I looked away. I wondered if I could ever even look at her again without feeling disgusting by the very idea of sex, or a painful twist in my gut from the stag's own suffering within me. I spent most of those months focusing on moving, just so to avoid injury. I had to heal. If I couldn't bring back prongs, I had no idea what to tell Remus. Sirius took care of me, covering me. As before, when I had to face things like stairs or sneaking out more healing potions from the hospital wing. Though he couldn't do that often. None of us spoke of the next full moon. Reuniting the Wolf Star team would be bloody, deadly. I wasn't sure I would be up for it. I knew it would end up hurting my wounds, maybe even reopen some of them. But I didn't voice my concerns. Padfoot and Mooney had to face each other sooner or later, but the sooner the better. In the meantime, Remus and Sirius worked on their friendships. The closer they bonded, the easier it will be on the K9 appeal. I focused on prongs. As the full moon drew near, I was finding it easier to move, and was soon able to do things as before, without pain. A hard knock would hurt me, and I would bruise easily, and it was pure murder if something touched my tailbone, where the worst of it all was. But all in all, I was finally feeling better, physically anyway. The giant black bruise that covered most of my body was nearly gone, but the area was sensitive. I was quite sensitive where Orion had forced me, and Bellatrix had cut and bit me, but I kept that quiet. I figured those would be among the last places to heal. The day before the full moon, I locked myself in the washroom of the boys' dormitory and stood in front of the mirror. "All right, Bronx, I need you now." I stared at the mirror. My hair rose up a little. "Bronx, Mooney, and Padfoot need you, please." I stood back and closed my eyes, focusing on the stag. I don't know how long I stood there. 10 minutes? Maybe 15. I focused on the full moon and the task of reuniting the entire pack. When next I opened my eyes, I saw Bronx, not James, in the great mirror. The large stag hobbled forward a few steps. I knew the full moon will remind me of old injuries. I didn't count on the stag form to do that. Of course, it would. Different shape, different size. It stretched out my wants. Bronx hung his head, nose nearly touching the floor with his tongue, hanging out. Damn it, he was weak, lank, fur-dulled. I knew that the stag had taken the brunt of what happened to protect me as much as possible. It was the only way I was still alive. But try as I might, I couldn't even get Bronx to twitch his great triangular tail. I should have died that day. Yet, somehow, I'm still alive. I had spent time healing my human body, but Bronx needed healing too. How was he going to help our dogs get back together? Well, it was all I had. Changing back to James, my entire body sized up in protest. I felt raped all over again. I lay on the floor, letting the coolness revive me. I had no choice but to make to do with what I had. This will be a very bad full moon.